New York Giants, I've told you this. I think the over 7.5 is a play. The Harbaughs, Jim and John, have an ability to implement their culture very quickly. Harbaugh took over a Ravens team that was 5-11. They went 11-5 next year in Baltimore. 7 of 18 years, winning record in Baltimore. Scadaboo's healthy. Dart's healthy. Neighbors eventually in September will be healthy. I love their draft. Francis Marinoa, Malachi Fields, Arvell Reese, all first-day starters. I also think Isaiah Likely is going to be a productive tight end for them. That was a position of weakness. So, again, I get the coach. I get a last-place schedule. And this number, again, this is like Baltimore's number. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. This is the one, if I just decided I'm gonna really go for it, it would be Giants over 7.5.
Yeah. I'm interested to talk about this. This is something that I really wanted to linger on because there's a lot to say here. And Colin, he's putting so much in the basket of Harbaugh. And I think the focus needs to be elsewhere. And it's a conversation that I'm really surprised that Colin's not having because it's been something that he's talked about so much, but he clearly has such admiration for the Harbaughs that he just constantly keeps looking at this through Harbaugh, you know. And it's way beyond that. Way beyond that for me. But before we jump into it, New York Giants fans, I know you're feeling pretty good about the Knicks. At least I believe you are. But please don't forget to subscribe and watch the full length of the video. When you guys do that, views go through the roof, subscribers go through the roof, and it's not about chasing views, it's not about chasing subscribers, it's about being able to create New York Giants content that people genuinely want to watch and discuss. So, we can keep having the most unbiased, grounded, honest conversations about the Giants. It makes such a huge difference to watch the full-length video, and I would just really appreciate it. So, okay. It's that man right there. Alright, you know, I'm watching some of the highlights of Jackson Dart, and it's just like and I've been on this for a while now, but it just bears repeating now that Colin is kind of really zooming in on it more. When I say this, you got to let me get the takeout before you panic. And let me just preface with saying that I absolutely, positively love watching Jackson Dart play. He was one of the most exciting again. It didn't work great for them. It wasn't the best season they had, hardly, and Jackson Dart has plenty of room to grow, right? I can't tell you it was the most spectacular rookie season I've ever seen, but I absolutely loved watching him play. Absolutely loved it. Loved it. And the Giants have not been an enjoyable watch for a really long time. I mean, that's you know it. If you're watching this video, you're most likely a Giants fan. So, watching Jackson Dart, that energy, his style of play, I love it. But, it does need to evolve. And what's so, when I say reckless, every time we keep talking about reckless, we kind of just think about but Colin keeps saying, he's in the blue tent, and all of that. And it's more than just that because of course he has to grow and evolve past that and take care of himself and his health and all of that, but it's also just he has a go for broke mentality, which is like what Josh Allen has and all that, and that can bite you. And so, unless that gets reined in, just like it needs to for more Josh like it needed to for Mahomes. Like if anything at the end of the day outside of some of the gifts that Andy has been able to give Mahomes and all the labs over the years like he's also been able to help rein him in. Like that is what a great coach is going to do and that's not going to be Harbaugh. It's just not going to be Harbaugh. It's going to be Matt Nagy. Like that's what this gets boiled down to more than anything. Is the relationship between Jackson Dart and Matt Nagy. That's to me 100%, snorts, what this gets to. Think of this, look at the Chicago Bears who were a mess. And you had Caleb Williams as a rookie. Right? There was a mess. Oh my gosh, mess. If there was no Ben Johnson there but they brought in Harbaugh, and instead of having Ben Johnson being the offense coordinator, Caleb does not have the second, that offense does not change overnight. It just doesn't. Is the team more organized? Is Caleb more supported? Absolutely. Right? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, that team was able to take big steps because you had an offensive mind that transformed the offense and was able to put Caleb in consistent situations, and so many consistent situations to succeed that even when Caleb messed up and was missing throws and was inaccurate, they were still able to win. They were still able to be wildly competitive. And it's like that's what you're going to also need from like Matt Nagy and the Giants. Not Harbaugh. Like that is just really where I stand, and it's because he brought up the Ravens and Colin right now. I feel bad I paused it with his eyes closed. I always try to get like a little bit more flattering of a pause screen. But yeah, you know, he's very much like the Ravens are taking a step back because they lost Harbaugh. And that the Giants are taking a step forward because they gained Harbaugh. And I've said this now, to me, Harbaugh, I think I said this there was a take that I really glad that I landed on, but I forget if I had the opportunity to share it. Harbaugh is the floor, Jackson Dart is the ceiling. That is 100% what it boils down to. He, Snorts, is the floor. Harbaugh. The ceiling is Jackson Dart. Harbaugh's not going to be tasked to really actually develop Jackson Dart. He's going to have conversations with him. They're going to probably go over some defenses and this and that, and he's going to be like telling him stories about when he coached Lamar and this and that and what this had to happen, what Lamar had to do, and it's just like I don't think it's going to actually fully resonate with a Jackson Dart. That's just my gut. Just based on those personalities, that's just my personal opinion. Again, you can disagree with it, that's fine. But like that's my personal read on it. And it's not to say that Harbaugh won't reach him. It's not to say that there's not going to be any relation like so I. Don't get it twisted. I'm not saying that, you know, Harbaugh is going to be nothing to Jackson Dart, because I'm not saying that either. But it's like again, think of Sean McDermott and Josh Allen. At the end of the day, that relationship really inherently meant nothing. And when it's all said and done, that relationship essentially meant absolutely nothing. That's just the reality of the situation. Same thing with Lamar and Harbaugh. These are two elite all-time great special quarterbacks. Okay. At the end of the day, Harbaugh's relationship essentially meant nothing. McDermott's relationship meant nothing. And there was not even an ability to manage the games in an appropriate way that at least supported those quarterbacks or supported those teams. So, why do I think that's going to be the case with Jackson Dart and the New York Giants now? Do they bring competency? Do they bring organization? Like, yeah, for sure. Do they bring a level of discipline? And listen, I criticize the Ravens for not having accountability and discipline, and Harbaugh deserves a ton of blame for that, but it's not the Wild West either. It's not the New York Jets or something, right? Or the Arizona Cardinals. So, it's like that's why I talk about the floor. It's like, yeah, there's still a healthy floor there. Which I appreciate and I respect. But that's, you know, that's not what you're looking for here. And, you know, Colin referenced like, when Harbaugh got to the Ravens, that was like 50 years ago at this point, man. Like, I didn't that it's a completely different go watch a football game from like 2000, you know, 1997. Watch a game from 2010. Football is just different. You know it immediately. If you were able to get pristine HD quality and not clearly dated graphics, and you watched the game, you would know immediately, oh, this is a different era of football. You just feel it. You just sense it. The flow, like you just know it. You feel it. I forget what Super Bowl it was, and it was like, you know, NFL, you know, the network will randomly show like old games or whatever, and I was watching a bunch of random old games. I was watching like the Titans, Rams Super Bowl, which was obviously a crazy Super Bowl, the Steelers, Packers Super Bowl, and I was just watching a collection of these games, and it's just like, wow. Wow, like it's like those videos felt like like you're a kid and you're watching like footage from like the 70s or something. And you're just like, what am I watching, right? Like what even is this? Like that's how it can feel. So, using going that far back like I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't really know what that does to me. So, that's why I put tremendous and listen, someone like a Matt Nagy is actually kind of interesting prospect cause obviously he's been with like Andy Reid and Andy Reid is the fence, he is the coach there. There's obviously going to be collaboration cause he's going to obviously respect him and all that, but like people kind of actually are kind of split with him, especially with his time in Chicago where they're kind of like, well, he did have some success considering he didn't have a quarterback. He did have some success and was able to like pretty much put them in a position to win that playoff game if it wasn't for the missed field goal against the Philadelphia Eagles with oh my gosh, can't believe I can't think of the quarterback's name. Mitch Trubisky, I got there. So and people are kind of like, all things considered, and it's like, especially during such AA culture that is so defensive forward that they just refuse to break. So, people are kind of like, what happens when he actually does have full reign over an offense and does have an exciting electric quarterback like a Jackson Dart? And that's then when you do have Matt Nagy being like, yeah, this is what me and Andy did with Patrick Mahomes. That's just going to land a lot more than Harb's being like, look at all the losses I had with Lamar Jackson, like it's just so. Harbaugh to me is he's obviously front-ward facing. He's obviously the head coach. He obviously deserves a ton of respect. But like, if you think that this team's going to get the over and be legit and cause Colin thinks that only be the over but then like actually contend for the division, contend for the wild card, all that type of stuff. At the end of the day, it'll be who is Matt Nagy and Jackson Dart. That's 100%. It's not about the Harbaughs and their ability to bring culture and this and that. Yeah. I think even that is somewhat losing its little pizzazz as of late. Harbaugh had to bring in Mike McDaniel. That's a real thing that needed to happen. So, and again, I'm a big believer of Harbaugh, big believer in the Chargers, like that. So, not knocking it but it's like still if your whole thing is like, well, they're their culture and they can do this. It's like, yeah, that's great but that can also only get you by for so long. Which is why Harbaugh ultimately found himself out of Baltimore. So, it's something to consider. So, yeah. That's the take. Those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Jackson Dart, Harbaugh, Matt Nagy, like, where do you think this team goes and at the core of it, what do you think ends up being the most important? Is it some new defensive pieces and some offensive pieces and just an upgraded roster with a more consistent, competent coach or, is Jackson Dart a little reckless? So, you really don't kind of know what you're going to get. So, like you can have moments of greatness and moments of what am I watching? So, you really do need a Matt Nagy to like really understand or even a Harbaugh to like really install a system and still a way of playing. Right? Like that's what the other Harbaugh is known for doing like tough defense and run the ball. Right? New York Giants Harbaugh is not I don't think he really has that as much of a reputation necessarily or maybe doesn't have as much of successes as it's perceived as being able to bring that in multiple places like Jim has been able to do. So, so let me know your thoughts. I read every single comment whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. Please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here and I absolutely love to see you part of it. We want to build something that we all generally feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up as it really does help visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.